Welcome back to Instables, everyone. So I'm going to go after you guys in that S&P 500 again, mentioning yesterday that playing to the upside, very risky as we are leading into Powell again, anticipating Powell 20 minutes before market open on Thursday. Again, we are looking for more of a passive Powell. Again, our recent Powell mentioned that we need a continuation on decreases in inflation, that we need a continuation on increases in unemployment. Again, we did get a recent decrease in CPI. Again, that is our inflation report. We're looking for a continuation on that decrease in inflation with our next CPI coming up on September 13th. So that is the watch here. Again, if you guys are looking at very volatile breakouts, I'm going to mention CFBI after this. A lot of people curious since we mentioned this in the Instables room from pre-market at about 4 a.m. Pacific time, continued on up all the way throughout the day. Again, we mentioned these type of breakouts in the Instables room every single day. Check out instables.com in the description below if you do want to see these very volatile breakouts that we mention every single day. Now, before I jump into this, all I ask in return is you smash that like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more chart updates on potential breakouts that I mention every single day. I mention every single day on exactly how I'll be playing to the SPY based on what we're leading into, what kind of news. Again, we are leading into Powell this Thursday, have our CPI about 4 days after that, making sure we are keeping that in mind. So as you guys can see here, again, we did mention yesterday that we did close below our prior day. That was, again, not exactly the most bullish momentum that we were looking for. So again, we did have a pullback today, a lot of bearish momentum today if you guys happen to hold throughout the day to the downside. So the question is, where may we be headed next? As you guys can see, we are going to be looking at our pressure. We were looking for those continuations on white shaded lines. As you guys can see, we have another white shaded line. We want to see if we can continue with that white shaded line. We do want our 12 EMA to cross back over our 26 ultimately to show that we are shifting momentum. Again, we want to break above the median over MACD once again to get that strong momentum like we did have here on one of the biggest rallies that we had of the year. So again, we want that to continue. If that does not happen, if we do not get our 12 EMA to cross back over our 26, then we will not have that shift of momentum. So again, our white shaded lines, our continuation on our white shaded lines are our early indicators for our decreases in sell pressure. But again, leading into Powell this Thursday, very much predicated on how much pressure we may get. We can have a large continuation on an increase in sell pressure, even if we get a continuation on decreases in sell pressure going into tomorrow, in my opinion. Again, with Powell coming in on Thursday, that continuation on our white shaded line just going into tomorrow, specifically since we have Powell the next day, would not be as much of an event to me if we get that continuation on decreases in sell pressure, because we can easily continue on with that increase in sell pressure. Again, our recent Powell, very hawkish, mentioning that he wants again to see that continuation on a decrease in inflation and again that continuation on an increase in unemployment. We're going to see exactly what happens again if he does mention that 50 basis points is possibly not on the table. Again, very much predicated on what exactly Powell says. As you guys can see on our RSI, again, we did mention yesterday that we were pointing down. We are still pointing down. We may have to jump into oversold territory before we do have that shift of momentum. So again, very much watching the RSI here to see if we can, again, jump into oversold territory, look for a possible setup on either a reversal or a possible bounce. But again, with our 20-day moving average crossing and almost crossing right below our 50, with that possible continuation on lower, if we happen to bounce, for example, here, and we do get our 20 moving average crossing below our 50, we get a rejection candle here. If we get a possible, again, inverted hammer like we did again at this point when we got a rejection with our inverted hammer like we had here on our 0.382 fib that we had here with our inverted hammer with that rejection to the upside, and as you guys can see, had a continuation on pressure to the downside. Also, again, intraday on the 5-minute chart, we mentioned that inverted hammer. So again, if we came up, we got an inverted hammer to the upside again for some reason or another, and then we could have that continuation on lower. That is that rejection to the upside to continue on lower if we happen to have a bounce again leading into Powell. But again, very predicated on exactly what Powell has to say. Very much going to see exactly what happens going into Thursday, in my opinion, from here. Now, again, with that said, if you are a day trader or you are looking for very volatile breakouts that we mentioned every single day throughout the week, CFBI was one of the easiest breakouts that we saw throughout the day, just continuing on higher with momentum, mentioning in pre-market that we were looking for momentum since, as you guys can see, we broke into new highs of the month here, and mentioning this in pre-market, we did continue on higher, continue to respect our 20-day moving average on the hourly chart, and as you guys can see, continuing with momentum, increasing in buy pressure here on the hourly chart throughout the day, showing us multiple confirmations on a nice continuation throughout the day here with CFBI. These are the type of breakouts that we try to mention that are very consistent, very volatile for a lot of breakouts that we also mention as well, but CFBI, one of the most clear breakouts that we had in today's session in the Instables room. Again, go to instables.com in the description below, and you will never miss a breakout alert today again. And again, all of you Instables that come over every single day and support the channel, I appreciate it when you guys. We're going to continue to go at it, stay patient, take what the market gives us as we are leading into Powell on Thursday. We'll see exactly what he has to say, and again, just staying patient with that momentum, looking at exactly what level we do hold, and just going on from there. And again, if you guys do like this video, it does help the channel grow, and I do appreciate it very much. And again, God bless you all, and I'll see you guys in pre-market.